Hello everybody, my name is Naya and I'm the Black Female Engineer, and today we are going to be talking about the 5 things you need to do and look at before really honing down on a coding bootcamp. Before you sign that offer, before making that commitment, here are some 5 things you may not have thought of to look at to really make sure that you are getting the most of your experience and at the end of it all, get a job. So the first thing that you really need to look at when choosing a coding bootcamp is look at the timing of the program. Look at the timing of the program, such as the length, but also when you would be set to graduate. So for me, I started my coding bootcamp in June of 2020, and I graduated in October, very early October of that same year. So it was a 4-month program and I graduated in the fall. So for me, that was great because a lot of companies hire in the fall. However, some of my peers who graduated later on kind of ran into some difficulties when it came to the hiring process because they graduated in the winter. They would have started, let's say, July, August, and they were set to graduate December, January. And the thing is, with that time period, companies aren't really hiring as much because that's their year end. They're focusing on their books, they're focusing on closing things down, etc. So when you really look at really the trend of hiring is lower in those months. And so it took them longer and has taken them longer to get jobs and get offers and things like that. And so when I was looking at, when to start and everything, I really didn't put this into consideration. I was just like, let me just start. This is when, the earliest time is. Sign me up. But if I had known this ahead of time, that definitely could have impacted my decision making depending on when I decided to make that career shift. So just something to think about. So piggybacking off that first tip number 2 is to look at the length of the program. Coding bootcamps can run anywhere between 3 months to 6 months to a year. Mine was 4, so kind of between that 3 to 6 month term. However, if you have certain goals of, okay, I want to make sure I get to this by this date and this date, really look at how long it'll take you to complete your bootcamp experience. And with that, if it is a longer term, like the 12-month one or even maybe 18 months, really look down at the curriculum they'll be covering and into what depth, because it's important to know what you're getting into in terms of not only the bootcamp experience, but also what is supposed to be taught. And make sure that you're not learning things that aren't of interest to you in those extra months and everything, because, okay, cool, it's 12 months so you'll get more knowledge, but is it the knowledge that you really are looking for? Is it the, will it be in the job category you're looking for, or X, Y, and Z? So really look at the term and what is going to be covered within those terms. And if you just go to the Coding Bootcamp's site, whatever one you're interested in, they typically do have a course breakdown. Sometimes it's not too in detail, but they do have a course breakdown of what's supposed to be covered when. And if you can actually talk to one of their recruiters and things like that, I'm sure they would be more than willing to give you even more details. So really, really keep that in mind. So tip number 3, you really want to look at the repayment plan of your bootcamp. So y'all, bootcamp is expensive. It very much is. And so again, I'm talking about less obvious tips and things to consider, because of course you would consider the cost and everything, but after you consider the cost and after you see how to really finance it, will you be taking out a loan, will you be doing an income share agreement, will you be paying out of pocket, things like that, look at really what the repayment plan is, specifically if you are choosing a loan or an income share agreement. So just to break it down real quick, an income share agreement, also known as ISA, that's actually what I decided to choose for my bootcamp. And really it's just that when you get a job, when you secure a position, you are going to start paying, let's say like 5%, 10%, 15% of your paycheck to the bootcamp directly until you pay them back what they let you, quote unquote, like borrow. This is different from a loan, because a loan, one, that could be a private loan that you went to your own bank for and things like that, and so they'll have their own terms. You'll need to look at the interest rate. You'll need to look at what time do you need to start paying them back. Is it a month after graduation, 2 months, or is it during the actual bootcamp that you need to also actually be paying them back and things like that? So you can go through your bank, or I do know of bootcamps that give you a loan directly, and it can be different from an income share agreement because the rates can be different. Sometimes with a loan, depending on your credit, it can be the rates can be lower. So you want to look at your credit also when deciding between an income share agreement and a loan. But with a loan also, it's not dependent on how much you're making. An income share agreement is dependent on how much you're making as an engineer. If I'm making $40,000 post boot camp versus making $100,000 post boot camp, there's different percentages I would need to pay back to them each month. Rather than a loan, it's $300 every month. Like, where you at? Like, bring that to us. If you don't care if you're making $2,000 a month, $20,000 a month, we don't care. Just give us back the $300. So there are some nuances and things like that. So really, away from just the cost of the bootcamp, really look at the repayment plan, what they expect of you, when they expect of it, how much, what proportion they expect of it each month, each year, things like that. Really look at those details. Tip number 4, the next thing you really want to look at before committing to a bootcamp is look at their employment rate after graduation. Really look at how many of their students get a job after they complete the program. Not only that, but in what time period do they get a job. If it's saying, 80% employed after a year, that's very different from 80% employed after 6 weeks. Look at those stats, and also look at the notes. Is it employed in actual software engineering roles, or were they not able to get a job in software engineering and they ended up going back to like business or finance, or like being a driver for like Uber, or like things like that? Like, when you say employed, do you mean as a software engineer, or just employed at the Trader Joe's across the street, just employed? So really, really look at that fine detail, because this is your life. Like, you are making a huge sacrifice, not only in time, but so much money and so much effort based on what these people are telling you. So really look at that fine print. And if they don't offer fine print, again, call up that recruiter, call up that office and be like, yo, what do you mean by 80%? Da, da, da. Like, I need to know really the fine print and the details surrounding this statement. So tip number 5, kind of going along with tip number 4. With tip number 5, if the bootcamp you're looking at states some type of employment guarantee, really, again, look at that fine print. So what I mean by this, mine says something like employment guaranteed after 3 months, period. So, okay, if I go through this boot camp and, I do the thing, I will have a job after 3 months. And there was also another thing that said, and if that's not the case, then you get a 100% refund. So really, there's really like no like risk to you. It's you pay this and get a job, or you pay this and get the refund because you couldn't get a job. So I'm like, hell yeah, like don't gotta tell me twice, like, where's the pen? But the thing is though, when companies state this, look at the requirements that need to be fulfilled in order for you to qualify for money back in the event that you don't get a job. So with my bootcamp, there was a laundry list of things that you needed to complete, you needed to do or not do to make sure that you would end up getting that refund if, you don't get the job. Their whole mindset is if you do every single thing on this list, then you will get a job. And so it went beyond just like going to classes and completing the assessments and, calling it a day. It went into like like contact, LinkedIn members, X times a week, and write blog posts, X times, a month, and all this. Like things that you wouldn't think directly related to the course, but in terms of getting a job, they were like, if you do all of this, all of these things, then you will get a job. And if you don't, then here's your money back. When you pick, before you even pick a bootcamp, look at this laundry list of things. Is it feasible to do? Is it some of it absurd? Is it things that you're not comfortable doing, like writing blog posts or reaching out to people on LinkedIn if you're more of an introvert or things like that? Look at that laundry list of things before signing on to a program because you're guaranteed a job. And two, if you decide that, I'll do whatever it takes, and that was me. I'll do whatever it takes to get a job. I don't care if, you say I need to jog around the block 2 times a week for me to even qualify for the refund. Like, I would do it. But, but print it out. Print out that entire statement of all the things you need to do for you to qualify for that refund, because some of the things are actually during your courses, not even after you've graduated, but during your courses. You need to make sure that 3 weeks in you do X, Y, and Z, and you need to make sure that 5 weeks in you do X, Y, and Z. And if the first time you're looking at this list is after you've graduated, then boom, you're already don't qualify for the refund because you didn't do the things you're supposed to do during your program. So before you even start the boot camp, print that list out, hang it up on the wall, and be making sure you're crossing things out and constantly looking at it and making sure that you are fulfilling all of those requirements. So there you have it, everybody. The 5 things that you really, really, really need to look at before signing on to a coding bootcamp to ensure that you get the most of your experience and you get what you paid for. So hopefully that's a job, or even if it's not a job, but you being able to start your own company and things like that. You want to make sure you're getting what you pay for. So thank you so much, and please let me know what you think in the comments, and please subscribe if you liked the video. So thank you.